Hi guys, I want to do a guided example with you about how to calculate price elasticity of demand. So price elasticity of demand is defined as the percentage change in quantity demanded that happens when the good changes 1% in price. So it measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded to changes in price. So for example, if the price of beef decreases 1%, so there's the 1% change in price, and the quantity of demanded increases by 2%, then that means we have a price elasticity of demand of 2, or in this case it says -2, but as you see in a moment we're going to drop that sign. So we're going to use this letter E to symbolize elasticity. It's just the Greek letter epsilon. And so the way you calculate it in a formula is it's the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. And if you apply this formula, what's going to come out is, in fact, the price elasticity of demand. So it's always going to be negative because changes in price and quantity always move in opposite directions. If the price goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. If the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up. So because it's always negative, we're just going to ignore the negative sign and say a price elasticity of -2, we'll just call it 2. So elasticity ranges from 0 to infinity. So if anything is less than 1, we call that inelastic. If it's greater than 1, we call it elastic. And if it equals 1, then we call it unit elastic. So there we have elastic is greater than 1, inelastic is less than 1, and unit elastic is when it equals 1. Okay, so here's an example. The old price for pizza was $1, and at that price 400 slices were demanded. And when the price drops to 97 cents, which is a 3% change, the quantity demanded changes by 1%. So how would we plug this into our formula? Well, there we have the formula. So 1 divided by 3 gives me 0.33, or a price elasticity of demand equal to 1/3. So in this case, the demand is inelastic. Okay, so these are the determinants of price elasticity of demand. You're going to want to use these for your discussion question this week. But I want to take you to another portion and show you another way to calculate price elasticity of demand. So this is how we had it before. And what we're going to see is that it turns out that the price elasticity of demand actually equals, if we do all this algebra, it equals P divided by Q times 1 over the slope. So all of this algebra gets us to the exact same formula, and so now we're going to have two different formulas to calculate price elasticity of demand. The first formula that we used, you're going to apply if I give you two prices and two quantities. This formula you're going to use if I ask you for the price elasticity of demand at a point on a slope. So for example, let's assume that point A here, the price is 8 and the quantity is 3, and let's assume that the slope of this line is 4. So I would ask you, what is the price elasticity of demand at point A? And you would take all these numbers and you would put 8 in for the P, 3 in for the Q, and then 1 over the slope of 4 is 1/4. And so the elasticity at point A here is 0.67, or 2/3. So now you have two different ways to calculate elasticity. The first way is if I give you two prices and two quantities, and this way is how you're going to calculate it if I ask you for the price elasticity of demand at a point on a slope. So let's do one more example of this. We have two demand curves here with two different slopes, and the price is 4 and the quantity is 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the price elasticity of demand when the price is $4 on D1 and on D2, which should give us two different elasticities. So let's see if we get there. Oh, it doesn't show it. Okay, so let's do it in our heads. So 4 over 4 is 1. So the P over Q part of that formula, this formula, the P over Q part is going to be 4 over 4. The slope of D1 is 2, which is 12 over 6. So 1 over the slope is going to be 1/2. So 4 over 4, or 1, times 1/2 is going to be 1/2. So the price elasticity of demand on D1 at this point is 1/2. For D2, the P over Q portion is going to be 4 over 4. The slope of D2 is 1/2. So 1 over 1/2 equals 2. The price elasticity of demand on D2 then is going to be 1 times 2, which equals 2. So at this point, on D1, the price elasticity of demand is 1/2. And on D2, the price elasticity of demand is 2. Okay, so this stuff is going to be asked on you in your next homework, the homework for chapters 4 and 5. So make sure you use this example to answer those questions. Okay, thanks guys.